What if I were to tell you there's a laptop out there that has a gorgeous 14.5-inch OLED display with 120 hertz refresh rate. It also has a 0.2 millisecond response time, and it's running a really powerful processor, the Core i7-13700H. It all comes in a slim and light package with a very durable body with a military standard 810H rating. You'd say, Andrew, you're crazy. That's going to be over $3,000. It sounds really premium. Well, you would be wrong. I found the laptop here for 2023 that comes in at $999, which I think is a steal here for 2023, considering what you're getting for that price. We're going to get into the reasons why I think this is a must-have here in 2023, especially when we don't want to break the bank to get premium features. Hey, everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Asus Zenbook 14X OLED here for 2023. Coming up. Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Asus. I'm not being sponsored by Asus. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Asus is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this review unit, the Q420 model, is on loan from Asus, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. The Q410 is purchased with my own money, and that, of course, was recalled by Best Buy because they did have a European charger here in the North American market. Now, pricing is really competitive. It comes in at $999 over at Best Buy, and of course, I'll leave a link for those interested in the description below. And with that, you get a Core i7-13700H, a 45-watt CPU, a 14.5-inch, 2.8K OLED display, touch display. It is absolutely stunning, and it's also got a dynamic refresh rate up to 120 hertz. You're getting 512 gigabytes of SSD storage, and you're also getting 16 gigabytes of RAM here. It's LPDDR5 RAM. And of course, I did pick up the 8 gigabyte model, the Q410 VA, that is exclusive to Best Buy. That has been recalled because it does have a European plug, which was not meant for the North American market. So I had to return it. And at $799, a tremendous value, but again, 8 gigabytes of RAM here in 2023 just might not cut it for some of you. So I do recommend going with the Q420 with its 16 gigabytes of RAM. That is definitely more doable here in 2023. Again, for those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, I already did my unboxing and first look at this laptop. For those that didn't see it, I'll drop a link in the description below for those that didn't see it. But the takeaway is the build quality is excellent on this laptop. In fact, it's got some really good durability, earning a military standard 810H rating, meaning this can take a licking and keep on ticking. I didn't see a lot of flex in the chassis, which is really good in terms of the build quality. And it also has a really nice finish on it. It's called Inkwell Gray, and it just gives off a nice, sleek, and modern look. And it's got a pretty nice size to it. Of course, it won't be the lightest 14-inch laptop at 1.56 kilograms or 3.44 pounds, but definitely portable, definitely easy to take with you on the go. And when it comes to the ports, on the left side, you have a full-size USB-A port. We like to see that, of course, get some venting. And then moving over to the right side are two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports that are full function, supporting data, charge, and display out, a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack, and finally, rounding out the ports is an HDMI 2.1 TMDS port. I would say overall, a pretty nice port selection, notably missing, of course, there's no micro SD or full-size SD card reader. Would have been nice, but although I understand why they went without it, of course, it's a thin and light laptop. But again, having the SD card would have been great, especially for the content creator. But I think overall, a pretty nice port selection nonetheless. Now, when it comes to user upgradeability, unfortunately, the RAM is soldered into the motherboard, so you as the user cannot expand it out later on if you want to. So just keep that in mind. And that's one of the reasons I think you should go with the Q420. That has 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is certainly more viable here in 2023 as opposed to the Q410, which only has 8 gigabytes of RAM. And without the ability to expand it out, it will get pretty outdated pretty quick. So again, stick with the Q420 as I mentioned earlier. Now, the good news is the SSD is is user upgradable, and it does have a PCIe Gen 4 SSD. And as you can see from these reads and writes, the included one with the review unit sent over by Asus does have some good reads, although the writes could be a little bit faster for Gen 4. That's definitely something I noticed, although it is certainly fast enough for anything you pretty much throw at it. Just would have been nice to have a little bit faster writes. Of course, you could always expand it out yourself or change the SSD for a little bit better writes later on. Now, as far as the wireless is concerned, we're looking at Wi-Fi 6E and a Bluetooth combo card here, and that is slotted in. That means you can change it out down the road if you want to upgrade it later on. But of course, the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth have been working perfectly fine. I've had no issues in terms of those, so really good on that front. Okay, let's talk performance, and we're talking about the Core i7-13700H on the Q420 model. That, of course, has 14 cores. That's 6 performance cores and 8 efficient cores, and a total of 20 threads. Now, of course, even if you go with the Core i5-13500H found on the Q410 model, that also did very well. Both models did very well when it comes to single and multi-core performance. For everyday office use, such as Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, everything worked very well on this. And on the Cinebench R23, we're seeing very good single-core performance. The Q420 model got 1887 on the single-core score, and the Q410 got 1773. And really good multi-core performance. The 420 got 13,446 and the 410 model got 12,299. Again, very good results here when it comes to single and multi-core performance. Now, when it comes to gaming, this is really not a gaming laptop since this only is using integrated Iris Xe graphics, no discrete GPUs on these, so just keep that in mind. But you can get some playable frame rates if you lower some of the settings as indicated by these numbers. But of course, you could always add an external GPU thanks to the 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports that this has. With that being said, this is really not a gaming laptop per se, but like I said, the occasional game here and there is definitely doable on these laptops. And when I ran the TimeSpy stress test to see if this will thermal throttle under heavy load, it got a passing score of 98.7%, meaning it detected little, if any, thermal throttling, maintaining good clock speeds throughout. Really good. And in order to maintain those really good clock speeds, the fans will kick in under the performance mode under heavy load, reaching as high as 46 decibels. But when you're in the other modes, such as the whisper mode or the balance mode, you really won't notice it all that much. Now, when it comes to the surface temperatures, also pretty good news here, never getting overly hot. There are a couple of hot spots here and there, but nothing to be concerned about, and really maintaining pretty good surface temperatures throughout, even under heavy load. Pretty good. Now, when it comes to battery life, these sport 70 watt-hour batteries, and the battery life was actually pretty decent. I ran the PC Mark 10 Modern Office battery test. The Q420 model did 9 hours and 44 minutes. The Q410 model did 9 hours and 54 minutes on that same test. The video playback test, we're looking at 9 hours and 10 minutes versus 9 hours and 22 minutes, and then not more than an hour and a half at most when you're gaming under full load, so not too much of a surprise there. My overall takeaway is pretty decent battery life here at the end of the day. Now, one thing to note, I did run these tests in 120 hertz enabled. Expect a little bit better battery life when you lower it down to 60 hertz. Now, they do supply you with a 90 watt power adapter and only takes a little bit more than an hour to give you a full charge. That's pretty fast. That's really good. Okay, let's talk about the display. It's really good. We're looking at a 14.5-inch OLED display with a 2.8K resolution. That's 2880 by 1800. And yes, for those wondering, that is a 16:10 aspect ratio, which is a good blend between getting work done in terms of productivity and consuming media, watching Netflix, Amazon, YouTube. It all worked well, although you will see slight bars on the top and the bottom when consuming media. That has been optimized for a 16:9 aspect ratio. Now, with an OLED display, you get the deep blacks, the super vibrant colors, the really high contrast. Everything just seems to pop with an OLED display, and that's exactly what we get here. We also get excellent coverage of the color gamut. It's a very color accurate display. So if you're a content creator who does Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, color grading, this is an excellent display for the content creator. And as far as the brightness is concerned, they're saying 550 nits when it comes to peak brightness watching HDR or high dynamic range content. I actually got 389 watching standard definition content. So very bright display depending on, of course, what you're doing. And of course, it is a glossy display, so you will notice some glare and reflections depending on your lighting conditions. So keep that in mind. Not only is this a touch display, but it also has pen support, allowing you to take notes, sketch out artwork, whatever you may need. A nice convenience feature to have. Even though it's not a convertible, it's nice to have pen support anyway at the end of the day. And I love the fact that this has a high refresh rate, up to 120 hertz, but of course, running it at that high refresh rate will eat up a little bit more battery life, although the battery life test that I did run was run at 120 hertz, so expect a little bit better battery life if you lower it down to 60 hertz, so that is something to consider, of course, but having this high refresh rate gives you that very fluid experience, the very smooth scrolling, and everything we love with a high refresh rate is here. Very superior display is what we have here at the end of the day. So this is the camera on the Asus Zenbook 14X here for 2023. It's a full HD camera, 1080p, 30 frames per second. It's also an IR camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. And by the way, there is no fingerprint scanner on this. This is the way to log in with face recognition, of course. And what do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of the internal mics? I think they do a good job of really blocking out the background noise. I think they do a good job in terms of the clarity. But again, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below. And for those wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger. The hinges are actually on pretty good. I didn't see a lot of screen wobble even when typing. That's been pretty good, so I'm happy to see that. The screen also goes back 180 degrees as well. And the keyboard is actually really good here. You're looking at 1.4 millimeters of key travel, very comfortable for typing out long documents, emails. Tactility is good, the feedback is good, and you never feel like your fingers are going to bottom out. Good job on that front. The backlight on it works really well. It's a multi-stage backlight, allowing you to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. That worked well. The touchpad is very responsive as far as scrolling and all the gestures. It's not a haptic touchpad, it's a diving board style touchpad, but it worked well nonetheless. No issues on that front. And for those that need to crunch numbers, the touchpad has a numpad within it, of course, not going to replace a physical numpad, but nice to have it here and there when you need it. Nice little convenience feature. Okay, let's talk about the speakers and the audio. These are Harman Kardon tuned speakers. They're Dolby Atmos to help with the spatial audio. I put it on the dynamic mode, of course. That's going to give it the best sound, in my opinion. And when I compared it to the Apple MacBook Pro running the M1, the 14-inch laptop that I have here, which I think is the best in the industry when it comes to the sound on a 14-inch laptop, there's no doubt about it. I thought this really held its own. But of course, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. But of course, let's give them a listen. Okay, people, let's bring it all home. The Asus Zenbook 14X OLED here for 2023 brings a lot to the table, a lot of bang for the buck at $999 over at Best Buy. I think this is a steal, considering you're getting a stunning 14.5-inch OLED display, a slick design, good single and multi-core performance out of that H-series processor, decent battery life, no throttling detected under load, and you're looking at a pretty decent port selection. The negatives, of course, soldered RAM, Iris Xe graphics, does collect a lot of fingerprints. You will be wiping it down, and it is a little bit of a reflective display. But at the end of the day, I think Asus has the right price to performance ratio here. They give you a lot of bang for the buck, as I mentioned, and I think this is a highly recommended laptop here for 2023, especially if you want a superior display but don't want to break the bank. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.